everybody, I'm Patty Mack, and I am your host here on Awake TV on Sunday afternoons for Spirituality 101, Awaken the Real You. I have to tell you, when I first heard of this opportunity with Awake TV, I was like, wow, I can't believe a totally new idea in TV. I was excited. I'm going to be able to interact with those watching. You become part of the show. What Amanda Masters and her team have created is going to be amazing. What's funny is I had a lot of friends who are very intuitive or psychic mediums or whatever name you want to give them, who told me, Patty, you're going to have a TV show. And I've done TV in the past. In the 90s, I was a craft designer. So I was like, no, there's no way TLC will never pick me up. Little did I know that Awake TV was going to be the platform where I could share with you guys. And what I'm really excited about is, yes, I could have done a show on healing, or yes, I could have done a show on quantum recalibration, but when I first started my spiritual journey, I was lost. I didn't know what Akashic records were, or an aura, or a chakra, if that was a game you played. I didn't have a clue. So my spiritual team, and when I talk about my spiritual team, it's my higher power, which I was raised Catholic, so I pray to the Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Other members of the team are my spirit guides, my past loved ones, my guardian angels, and boy, they chose a lucky one when they got me when I was born. But it's my team who I listened to, and they kept saying, Patty, reach out to those who are just beginning their journey. Because when I reflected back, it was like, okay, what does this word need? And I'd Google it and I'd do research, but I still wasn't getting a deeper and better understanding of it. So I did write some notes down, and there's so much I want to cover on this show. I selected 30 minutes. I hear my team saying, Patty, you should have done an hour. 30 minutes is going to go very quick. But for the first season, we're going to go out doing 30 minutes. A real important part of my show is the interaction with you guys. If you have a question, that means there are 10 other people who have the same exact question. So what I want you to do is any spiritual questions that you want answered on the show, drop me an email. My email is textmessagesfromheaven@gmail.com. And this way, if I have them in advance, I'll be able to select them or combine them and be able to give you my answer. Only my personal experience will I be able to share, because everybody's journey is different. So let me go through of what I envision for the 12 shows. I am so excited about this. One of the things we're going to talk about is, yes, I have a New York accent. If you caught that, it was talk instead of talk. So fun. Fun is really important to me, because if you're not having fun, that could bring down your whole day. No matter what you're going through, laughter is the best medicine. It's important to keep your vibration high. So the first thing we're going to cover, and these could be all mixed up depending, because you guys are going to create the flow of Spirituality 101. And the first thing that I think is important is, how do you tap into your intuition? We all have it. It's a gift given to us. It's that little voice inside that says, you better not go out. Or, why don't you wait until later? And sometimes we just push it aside. And then there's other times we're like, ooh, I need to listen to that. So we're going to talk about tapping into your intuition. Another thing we'll discuss is the difference between your brain and intuition. The brain has the ego, so we're going to try to separate those two to what truly is your intuition, what's coming from your heart, from your soul. And a lot of my clients I tell, and you know this is true, is we are a spiritual being here having a human experience. We were promised everlasting life. Our soul is inside of us. It never dies. It lives on forever. So here we are on the planet Earth having a human experience. Okay, so we're going to talk about the differences with that. And then we could talk about connecting deeper to who you truly are. And this is a process also that as you go through it, there's stuff from our childhood we may be hanging on to, whether it be traumas or children should be seen and not heard. Well, you know what? That affects you in your adult life because you don't speak your truth, because mom and dad always told us children are supposed to be seen and not heard. So we'll go in and we'll talk about that. We'll also talk about the importance of intuitive messages, how they can guide you in your life, and how you can help others by if you're hearing something, then there may be a message that your spiritual team is giving you to deliver to somebody. We're also going to talk, we're also, when you work on a spiritual journey, drink lots of water. We're also going to talk about understanding your gifts. We are all born with them. They can lay dormant in us forever, or you can recognize those gifts and work on developing them more and more. A big thing developing your gifts is to trust. Trust that you truly have it and the information you're getting is correct. Another thing we're going to talk about is being straightforward, integrity, and being honest if you're going to share any messages. Other things we'll talk about is, are you intuitive? Like, we'll share different times we may have heard that little voice and how important it was, or what happened when you didn't listen to that voice inside of you. Another thing we'll talk about is spirit guides. And everybody always wants to know the name of their spirit guide. And then maybe one week what we'll do is I'll take you into a meditation where you will meet your spirit guide. I know we're going to talk about meditation because I hear everybody going, I can't slow my brain down. There's no way I can meditate. Been there, done that. You will be able to meditate. Keep watching. I'm going to give you tricks and tips. Embracing your gifts. That's another really important thing. Probably as a child, you may have had invisible friends, or you may have seen spirit, and you've kind of suppressed them because nobody else was hearing or seeing what you were. So it's really important that we dig deep down and bring out those gifts you have and don't keep them pushed down any longer. Another thing we'll talk about is, how do you deliver a message to somebody? If you're really intuitive and you're hearing something, how do you bring that message to somebody else? Because what you have to give is a gift of healing, okay? And that's really important. Another thing we'll talk about is coming out of the spiritual closet. And for those of you who might be interested, on my website, it's www.textmessagesfromheaven.com, is my story. It's a little blurb of my story, but if you go down to the bottom, there's a video you can watch. And it was over a year ago that I came out of the closet and shared my life story and things I had been through growing up with a dad who was an alcoholic, thought it was normal. losing my first husband who died on Father's Day to cancer, 2 young kids, children addicted to drugs or alcohol. So my story's there. And the reason I always say to everybody, go listen to it, because something in that story that I tell is going to resonate with you. Okay? We all have a story and it needs to be shared. By sharing our story, we can help and heal others. So again, it's on my website, textmessagesfromheaven.com. Scroll to the bottom and you will see the little video there. People have told me, bring a bowl of popcorn, bring a box of tissues if you get emotional, but I would love to share my story with each and every one of yous. Okay. Another thing we're going to talk about, we talked about spirit guides. I think I mixed up my cards. We'll just keep going with the flow. We'll talk about what is intuition, what is a psychic, what is a medium, what's an empath, why do you pick up on other people's feelings, why does it affect you, and we'll go into all that. We're also going to talk about who are they. And when I first heard Ascended Masters, I was like, well, who's that? I have no idea who Ascended Master is. But we're going to learn. We're going to talk about the archangels, Ascended Masters. We're going to talk about totems, because those are your spirit animals. We'll talk about your past loved ones on the other side, your ancestors, your angels, elementals. Oh, excuse me. Energy's moving. We'll talk about living things that happen around us that are signs from the other side, indirect communications, things we may hear, song, synchronicity and numbers. Well, symbolic things like finding that coin or finding that feather, and how do you know who it's from is what we're going to talk about it. We're also going to talk about automatic writing, and that's really a fun thing to do if you've never done it. And after my first husband died, I kept hearing, take a chair to the cemetery, take a chair to the cemetery. And this thought kept going over and over and over in my head. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. I'm not taking a chair to the cemetery and sit there in a beach chair and write. Well, I should have, because I had a dress on and I was sitting in the grass, and I received, my pen just kept writing. I had no idea what I was writing. My pen kept writing, and when I was done, I received the most beautiful, beautiful letter from my loved one, my husband, who had passed away. So we'll talk about how we do that as well. I'd also like to get into what is grounding, what is clearing, protection, things you can do around your home, things that you can do for yourself, that no matter where you go out and what the energies are, that you can protect yourself. We'll touch a little bit on the full moon, the new moon, and what that basically means, and the energy. Because when you're in the journey, you become more aware of things, and you can actually feel the energies that's happening around the planet. I also, crystals, they're a God-given gift for us, and it just was recently on my journey that I started getting more into crystals. Some of them are pretty powerful, and I'll share my favorite and I'll share them with you. There's so many different crystals that could help with so many different things. That'll be a fun show we'll do. Also, creating a sacred space. When I first heard, well, you need a sacred space, I was like, what? I have no room in my house. What kind of space do I need? Well, I'm in a corner of a room. This is my sacred space. This is where I come to pray or meditate. And when I talk about praying is talking to your higher spiritual team, okay? Meditating is listening to what they're saying to you. Okay, so that's like really important. Um, Again, clearing your mind and meditation. This is something a lot of people, when we start on our journey, it's a struggle. How do I quiet my mind? Well, I'm going to show you by starting with 5 to 7 minutes and keep doing that. You will be able to go further and further with more time, and you will be able to experience the most unconditional love and peace you have ever felt in your life. It's truly a beautiful experience. One night, while I was meditating, I had no idea because I don't think about it when I meditate. I was sitting at the edge of a path, and the Virgin Mary is who popped into my head, and she appeared, and the love and the energy from somebody so beautiful as her was amazing. And again, I got a writing, so I got a message from her that was beautiful. So we'll talk about how to do that, and to realize you're not making this stuff up. It is as real as I'm talking to you right now. So we'll talk about that. We'll also talk about presence. Do you ever have the feeling like somebody's there but nobody's there? Well, guess what? Somebody is there. A lot of times I'll get this while I'm driving. I'll just feel a presence sitting next to me, and when I tune into it or I feel it and open my heart to it, it's absolutely beautiful. So we'll talk about that as well. We're also going to talk about, we have a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about spiritual loneliness. And you may say, well, how can you be lonely? You got your family, you got your friends. Well, the more you go on your journey and the deeper you get and the more you want to share it, people start pulling away because they're really not sure what's this all about. This is all new to them. And of course, being raised a Roman Catholic, I have an aunt who's a nun. She thinks I'm a little out there, but you know what? That's okay, because I know what's true. I know what's in my heart, and I want to share that with you so you can be more aware of it and open to it. Okay, we're also going to talk about the clairs. And there will be 1 week that I will have to pre-record my show. And I really think this may be the best one to pre-record because it's basic fact. And what I will try to also do is have notes for that as well. And we're going to talk about the clairs. And I'm sure you've heard clairaudient, claircognizance, clairvoyance. Well, each one is a certain sense you feel. Clairvoyance, seeing. Now, seeing could be seeing right in front of you, or it could be seeing in your mind, okay? I get a lot of time clairaudience. So I'll get random thoughts that'll pop in my head. Well, as soon as somebody says, like when I do a mediumship reading, Spirit will come in and say, let them know I saw the curtain rod fall off the wall. And sure enough, the curtain rod fell off the wall. But if they should give me like a blue car, of course, it's a thought that popped in my head, but I see it, and then I see it. Okay, so it's all in your mind. It's not your imaginations, it's messages. And this is what we need to tap into. And then, there's smelling and tasting and knowing. Sometimes you just know something and you don't know how you know it, but that's another gift. It's another one of the clairs. So definitely, you're going to find as we go on each week, more and more things you're going to recognize and go, oh, so that's what that was. So I'm really excited to go on to that. Again, if you have any questions, drop me an email, text messages from heaven@gmail. Any questions you have about Spirituality 101 and awakening the real you inside, send me those questions. Like I said before, if you have a question, then somebody else has that same exact question. We're also going to talk about cards. I have always been drawn to cards. And I started off with tarot cards. And there's nothing wrong with tarot cards, however, because I was raised the way I was. Tarot cards were no good. They're okay. And then we're going to talk about oracle cards and what's the difference. What's the difference between oracle cards and angel cards? So we'll get in and we'll explore that. I was given and channeled messages that I was able to create my own deck of cards. And they're called Angels of. And there's no book, because when I get a new deck of cards, the book gets put away with the box. I go on what I'm hearing. So like this is the Angel of Chaos, okay? Well, that's telling me by looking at that, there's a lot of crap going on in your life. You don't know if you're coming or going, or if you're in a revolving door that won't stop. So you pick up on what you're feeling with the cards. So my deck is very simple, very easy to use. You don't have to study. Just go with what you're feeling when you look at it. We'll talk about runes. Those are stones with engraved. I've never worked with them. Maybe time to get a set. And it's a set of stones. And in the stones is an engraved symbol which represents something. So it's something like that. And with the tarot, you would probably have to study and learn. Because like with the tarot deck, you have to know what each card exactly means. And if you're getting it face up or reverse, has entirely different meaning. So there are some tools that we use that you really have to study. And yes, they're called tools because you keep adding your tools to your spiritual toolbox that will help you. We're going to talk about chakras. Didn't have a clue what a chakra was, if it was a card game or what it was. But we're going to go through the 7 chakras you have in your body, and science has even proven more of this energy. They are energy fields within your body, okay? And if you're suffering like your throat scratchy or something, well, that's a sign that you need to say something, that you're suppressing something and you keep pushing it down. Well, by pushing it down, now your other chakras are getting all out of whack. So we'll talk about each chakra. We'll talk how to align them and keep you grounded. It's so interesting. We'll talk about affirmations that will help you with things you're dealing with. Let's see. We're getting there. We'll talk about healings. For the longest time, I kept hearing, Patty, you're a healer. Patty, you're a healer. Well, I kept saying, I don't want to be a healer. Thanks a lot, but I don't. And spirit is very persistent. So they're going to keep telling you this until you finally say, okay. So I finally said, okay, I'm a healer. Whatever you want me to do. Sure enough, when I give a message from a past loved one or I do a card reading, I am indeed giving a healing to whoever needs to hear it. We're going to talk about keeping your vibration high. That's really important because when your vibration is high, it's easier for you to receive messages. We're going to talk about self-care. Very important that we take care of ourselves. If we don't love ourselves, how can we possibly love anybody else? We'll talk about salt baths. We'll talk about walking barefoot and things like that. We're also going to talk about boundaries, and this is really important. We need to put boundaries in place, okay? That will help us and protect us in things we're dealing with. Another thing, if something keeps repeating itself over and over and over again, well, guess what? There's a lesson you need to learn that we haven't learned yet. So we need to learn that lesson so we could push it off to the side and not have to worry about it again. Another thing that's important is to be you. Be your true, authentic self. That's who you were meant to be. You weren't meant to be somebody you told you were, or somebody with all these labels. Look inside your heart, and truly find your true, authentic self. Another important is a support system. Let's build a tribe. Let's make Spirituality 101 a tribe, a group, and I will form a group under my Facebook, and so we can work together. Because as you're on this journey, you may get stopped in your growth, and it's truly then when you work through whatever's stopping you that you grow on a deeper and more spiritual level. We'll talk about working with a mentor. One thing I have found as I have been on my journey is the teacher comes along when you need that teacher. You may resonate with me. Well, come after the first season on Awake TV, you're saying, okay, I need to learn from somebody else. So we will talk about, working with mentors. If you want to share your gifts, we'll talk about how to deliver those messages, responsibilities in it, the flow of how to do a reading, answers and questions people may have, always giving and sending a positive message is really important. Sharing your gifts with the world. And that is what I have found to be my goal, my life purpose, to truly find out who I am, who that spiritual being is, not the human, the spiritual being, and be able to shine my light and unconditional love with everyone I meet. Another thing we'll also talk about is what is intuitive life coaching versus a psychic reading. Like, what's the difference? That's pretty important, and your growth will become even deeper if you work with an intuitive life coach. There is so much more I want to cover on this show. I'm excited. I'm excited where Awake TV is going to go, where it's going global. It's raising the vibration of this planet. There is such sadness and hatred and stuff in this world. It's time. We don't need to live like that anymore. We need to come from a place of unconditional love. And unconditional love lives right inside your heart space. So yes, there was a person who hurt my daughter when she was young. I needed to forgive that person, okay? Because it's something I needed to do to take the weight that was holding me down. There's nothing I could do. It was done. It's over with. I gave forgiveness, and now I can breathe better. So guys, check out my website, textmessagesfromheaven.com. On the bottom of the page is my story. I would love for you to listen to it and see if you resonate with it. I'm sure there's something in there that'll hit something inside of you. I am so looking forward to this. Again, Awake TV Network. Definitely go to their page and follow them. I will be giving out a code so you get your first month free. I'm excited to have you all on board, because when I can share my love with you, it's just gonna ripple out across the planet. It's time. It's time to become awake inside of us, and it's time for you to find out who you truly are. I will see you on Sunday afternoons at 12 noon Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And again, thank you for giving me this opportunity to share what Spirituality 101 is going to be all about. Love to each and every one of you. Catch it. Bye.